coffee is hitting this morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live from the freshly rejuvenated and renovated Flipping Made Easy studio. When we say that, we just shifted a couple things here in Matawan, New Jersey, coming to you live from the Cabinet Creation Sports Desk. It is Sturch. It is Gooch. It is Dina, who is a lot closer now. I can actually hear her talk. And Wrestling Rob is in the corner. He's back here. Somehow me and Rob made it back here, and we're functioning. We left here last night around midnight. We had ourselves a mandate. Tommy D enjoyed it for about, I felt like he was here for 10 minutes. He was like, all right, guys, I'm going to cut out. And I was like,
so I had WrestleMania on kind of in the background.
Okay.
When I was doing my thing yesterday, and I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, I left the studio at like 3. There's no way they made it this long. You guys left here at midnight. I'm impressed.
Listen, when it's wrestling, bro, and it's interesting stuff. We put on a couple other things before. I was like, oh, you got to see this. We took a drive down memory lane with a couple wrestling things. And we're like, all right, this is great. And it was a great time. So in any event, if you're watching this, if you're a first timer here, you'll probably know that you can support Chop Sports by going over to patreon.com/Chop Sports. Like Adina just / me from the corner of my eye. I didn't even have to look at it. I knew she was going to bang with the / Chop Sports. That's how to support the show. You can do so $3, $5, $10. That $10 is going to get you into the Chop Sports BBQ. I almost said barbecue, but it's the same thing, right? Company picnic, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Chop Sports Barbecue, Chop Sports BBQ, Company Picnic. It doesn't really matter what you call it. June 26th, we're going to have a good time. Play some recreational sports, get hammered.
Your $10 Dynasty membership will get you in there. Will get you some extra perks as well. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're going to definitely hook up our Dynasty members. So do that. 1,037 and counting is the YouTube count right now. So thank you guys for subscribing to YouTube. And of course, like this video. That helps us out in the search. I don't think there's going to be a hard time searching for us today because it is on the topic of literally everybody. Everybody's talking about it because it's the world of mainstream. Before we get into that, how was your weekend? I got to ask. It was
Fantasy
good.
baseball draft this weekend. Very exciting time for me. I'm a little upset about how things went. We'll get into that a little bit later. We'll break the cardinal rule, my rule of not
never talking about
your own
team.
Fantasy team
But
on
a
sports show.
But it involves a lot of people, not just us.
It's a daily show, and I feel like our listeners have heard us talking about the draft for a little bit, so we might as well touch on it. At least if you have a draft coming up, I have some interesting points about where some of these guys went that I had questions about, and now I did a draft, so I'll be able to answer that a little bit better. I'm trying to think of.
I had a shout out to my bonus mom Barry. We had a surprise 60th birthday. Now here's the kicker about this thing. We were worried. She just had a crazy procedure done, like some heart stuff, right? So
about like the surprise,
right? So I was asking my stepsister Kim. I was like, "Are we sure we want to do this? Like, just surprise!" Like
things where
she grabbed her chest.
It's
I was like, "Oh fuck,
it's like, all right, you clear that hurdle, got that out of the way. I guess you could be surprised,
right?"
So shout out to Barry for that.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so we enjoyed it. I saw all the family. It was great time. That was my Saturday. My Friday night was getting involved with Jimmy Palumbo. What?
I want to talk about the shirt. I may or may not have some of these for sale if anybody's interested. May or may not.
We're not disclosing that information. Reach out to Chris, slide in the DMs because his phone is gonzo, folks. So
that's another thing that I did want to talk about. If anybody tried to reach out to me over the past weekend, I do not have a phone. I might even have it to show you what happened. The screen is just detached. It's like a slinky down. So I can't really
see at this point. I would just try. I would office space the shit.
There's definitely
out of
a few people out there that I probably owe a response to. You'll get it eventually, but now's not the time. I need a new phone.
All right, so get your new phone.
Ashley wants to kill herself. Her words, not mine, because I don't have a phone, guys.
Oh, is that what KMS is? I'm very glad that she actually abbreviated it because I don't like reading it. I don't like hearing it.
Yeah. It's That's it. That is what that means. KMS.
Okay. KMS. All right, that's new. That's just so all the kids are talking about it now.
Hang in there, Ash. I'll get a phone today.
Just DM them. Just on the. You got
Well, I do have it. It's just I'm not.
It's annoying. It's very annoying. I don't like having it on the laptop either. Anyway, also before I move on to bigger and better things. So I got involved with Jimmy Palumbo on Friday night. He had a Friday night and Saturday night show. Great turnout, sold out crowd. And when I say that, 200 people packed the house. It was great. Great set, a lot of fun. He let me do the intro. So I actually got him. Like I've done wrestling announcing in front of thousands of people, but to get in front of an intimate comedy crowd that are expecting to laugh I was like, so I got to make them laugh. Like, do I have to do that? Like,
did you have a joke?
I did.
Did it work?
I think it did. I basically said,
you're gonna have to check the tape.
My name is Dave Sturchio.
We do have it on video.
We do. He's got the videotape. I said, my name is Dave Sturchio, and I run Chop Sports, which actually is the house that holds the Jimmy Palumbo podcast. And they're like, yay, right? They're all cheering. And I'm like, I'll have you all know that the Jimmy Palumbo show is the highest downloaded podcast within our network. Yay, right? Everybody goes nuts. And I'll be like, I also have you know that Jimmy now owes me extra cash for lying to each and every single one of you. And they laughed. And I was like, all right, I can do this. I can be a comedian. I'm good. I'm fine. No, it was a good time. I got to introduce him. They had 2 opening comedians. They were hilarious. Good time though. Friday, and then I went to Curtains, saw a couple people there that we frequently interact with that I've never actually got a chance to actually meet, you know, and I met a couple people there. So it was a good time. Good weekend. Also, Dat Chat, by the way, if you want to check on over to another form of social media, do so by heading over there. There are 380 plus in the Dat Chat group of Chop Sports now. So that keeps moving in the right direction. So shout out to Glenn and all those guys over there. But it has to go without saying that the biggest sports story of the weekend is Pat McAfee. It has to be. Like Pat McAfee.
Well,
it really is, though.
It's not.
It is. It is. Look, you know why it is? Because not only was it wrestling, right? But all the football players were chiming in. All the football analysts and everybody was chiming in.
McGregor.
It was highly entertaining. McGregor and it was a great thing. For no reason. I am not a wrestling guy. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have to admit. But the biggest sporting event of the weekend was the Final Four, and we can't.
I mean, we'll get into that, but
we're talking about. I understand, you know, Duke, North Carolina. That's one of the biggest college basketball games ever. I'm gonna die on this hill. I know I'm with 2 wrestling guys, but I think that
75,000 people, 2 nights in a row.
2 nights in a row, so 150,000 people.
Look, I understand what you're getting at, right? But it's very rare, just because there's a WrestleMania every year.
Absolutely.
Now, without taking anything away from what these guys do, it is a scripted event, right? So I'm not talking shit.
No, I understand.
Trust me when I tell you, I was definitely entertained by that, and that's what the whole point of wrestling is to entertain. Mm-hmm. So highly entertaining, but Duke, North Carolina in the Final Four to go to the finals. I mean, like, it does not get bigger than that.
It was simultaneous with WrestleMania Night 1, and I was watching both. Yeah. I had Duke and North Carolina on my phone, and on the big screen, I was watching WrestleMania. And night 1, night 2, not a lot of people said like night 1 you couldn't top it. Night 2, I felt like it got right there. We'll get more into that on the Chop Sports Fight Factory recording later on today with myself, Gooch, Wrestling Rob, and Tommy D. We'll talk more about that. That episode will drop tomorrow, and we'll get into more details. But it was incredible. Like, it was just McAfee is living the life that I think every sports media journalist / personality wants to live. Like, he's everything that he wants to do, he does. Right? Like, he said he had this dream to go on WrestleMania. He did it. And he had a dream to host his own show. He's doing it. Yeah, right? He punted in the NFL. He's doing it. Like,
not only did he go on WrestleMania, he was pretty much calling the entire thing the whole weekend, right? So he's in the booth, and then he gets to go and wrestle against.
He literally left like 2 matches before to go get ready. When I say go get ready, he wore literally what he wears on his podcast.
Theory is the guy he wrestled.
Yeah, Austin Theory.
Yes. But then he has his moment with Vince McMahon, the head of the company, and then obviously Stone Cold comes back.
Dude,
that was legendary.
His sell on the stunner when he just the beer fountain up and then he just pops back. Dude, McAfee is the wrestling gift we didn't know we had, and now we have it.
Yeah.
Like, he is the personality that you need.
Dude, McAfee's been goated since he called us out on his show.
Yeah, well,
before that, I've been a big McAfee fan, but now, I mean, you see this guy getting to do what he's doing, and it's fun, man. It's like, I'm not jealous. Usually when I see this, I'm like, this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's shitty to admit, but, you know, you see people, you're like, I could do that. I can't do
super jealous.
It was so much fun that, like, you literally watch it back and you could just see for like 15 minutes, however long he was out there, there wasn't anyone sitting down. Everybody's cheering, going crazy, and then he puts on a great performance. You know, it was a great weekend, man. Phenomenal.
Wrestling this weekend in particular, every year it rejuvenates the crowd, the fan base, and now like tonight's Raw is going to be out of control. We're excited. Cody Rhodes is in WWE now, so like we saw that on Saturday night. So it was hard to top. Obviously, Undertaker's speech on Friday was legendary, right? And that was such a great just pro wrestling in general, and there was a lot of people like, there's always going to be those people on Twitter that are just like, so corny, is so fake, blah, blah, blah. I actually called one of the guys out on one of the guys that I've met personally via an interview, but Jesse Holley, former receiver of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He went to North Carolina, played ball at North Carolina. So he was big into that. He goes, there's no way I'm watching that fake stuff over North Carolina. And I was like, yo, Jesse, I got torn ACL and 3 concussions later. Tell you it's not fake. He's like, oh man, I didn't know you went through that. I'm like, well, yeah. Like, I wish it was faker. I wish it was faker.
No, I'm kidding. It's not.
I wish it was a trampoline. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't.
Fake. It's scripted, but it's not fake.
It's just entertainment. And I think that, it was incredible. The only thing I will say, I don't like calling out botches because I know how hard it is to do what they do on a live stage in front of a massive crowd and millions at home. Vince McMahon should have never attempted to take a stunner from Stone Cold ever. Like that was
so how many
was rough.
0 days without incident for the WWE?
Yeah,
we could relate.
It's there. It's there, and
it happens in live production.
They played the wrong music. Yo, it's funny, Rob. Remember how we said like, oh, Vince reacted to the wrong music?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like the sound guy just labeled it Austin theme? And like was like hit the wrong Austin.
Yeah, I mean,
because
sure.
Austin Theory is out there. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. But overall, I think that the event, top to bottom, and we recapped and watched the NXT event. WWE had a phenomenal week, and I think Pat McAfee puts the icing on the cake. The Brock and Roman match, we'll get into it on the other show, but it was good, but it just didn't. It was weird, a very odd ending, but whatever. But anyway, so. We thank you guys again for joining us here today on the show. There's plenty to get into because right before WrestleMania Night 2 actually went down, we had ourselves our very first annual Chop Sports Fantasy Baseball Draft. But before we get into that, news that broke over the weekend, which was relatively really shitty if you're a Mets fan, is that Jacob deGrom is going to be shut down for a month. Now, they say month. I hear 4 weeks. I see this going a lot longer, dude.
So here's what this is.
And it sucks.
They said that they're going to re-image him in a month and then reassess the timetable from there.
So he might not even have baseball activity.
The initial thing that I saw was 4 to 8 weeks, which leaves it very open-ended.
It's 2 months, bro.
I guess shout out to the Mets for kind of at least giving a timetable because last year they didn't give any info on deGrom's injury whatsoever.
No, they kept that on the wraps.
I guess there's no clear picture as to what took place, or they're hoping that rehab could heal this or just time off. But it looks to me like deGrom is headed towards surgery. And I hate to say that because what do I hate to say it? I don't really hate to say it. I just is a fact. I think deGrom is going to have some.
So now, not only that, and they get the deGrom news, and then like the next day, Scherzer is pulled from his start with a hamstring issue. It's like, is this thing ever going to get off the ground? Like, are Mets fans plagued? Like
the Scherzer
this
thing,
sucks.
I think there's obviously an issue with the hamstring, right? But I think if it was regular season,
he would have gone.
The stretch run, Scherzer would have been fine. A hamstring is nowhere near as bad as inflammation in your pitching shoulder, where they're going to re-image it in a month. Like,
well, it's
Scherzer,
all bone, thankfully.
Hamstring, just give it a little bit of time, maybe more time than usual at his age and this point in the season. Just get him ready. But maybe you could say blessing in disguise for Scherzer. Give him a little bit of rest early.
Maybe. I don't know. All I do know is that Rob is in the comments fighting with people. So, and like, you're right here. like I'm looking back and forth. I'm like, who's he arguing with? But anyway, that's our resident, I guess, bodyguard, Wrestle Rob, making sure everything's tight inside there. Chris Payne coming in. Mets blew their load in spring training. Usually they wait until the All-Star break to fall apart.
Yeah,
not wrong.
I think the Mets are going to be fine. They got a loaded roster. I was looking at
that's the thing. Like, I think this roster, Uncle Stevie put together a good roster to weather storms. But I don't know if a storm without deGrom and Scherzer would be weatherable. I know that's probably not a word. I went for it. Weatherable.
I think Scherzer will be back, maybe even ready for his first start.
First start, he'd be opening day starter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no guarantee he's going to miss time in regular season right now.
Well, this is one of the first off seasons in a long time where you constantly hear the Mets almost like every day, every other day. So it's kind of exciting to be a Mets fan right now. Uncle Steve's got them.
Yeah, of course.
In position to
listen.
Compete.
They had a better offseason than the Yankees did.
Yeah,
the Mets did great. They did great.
The Yankees put a bunch of Band-Aids on bullet holes. I heard that.
but
I heard that today.
Now they got some work
it.
to do because you could put it all together on paper, but you know better than anybody as a Mets fan. They've been here before, maybe not as consistently or as often as you'd like for a team playing in New York with that ability to use the payroll. But at this point right now, Mets fans have a lot to be excited about. The deGrom thing sucks. Over on the other side of New York, there's some news coming out with the Aaron Judge contract that hopefully we get things sorted before the 6th, because the last thing that anybody wants is them to actually have to face arbitration and deal with all that and talking about how Judge isn't worth the money. We
Prediction
don't want
time.
Go ahead.
What's he going to get?
Well, he's going to get a 1-year deal right now.
No. I'm talking about that long-term deal. What's it looking like? Not
gonna-
even the money.
It's
Not
not
the
money
money
at least
issue.
7 years, but I think
You
they're
think
gonna go
7?
Yeah.
See, I think they go 5. I don't know about signing the Judge to it. Like when that guy gets hurt, he gets hurt.
Okay, so
and he stay out for a lengthy
So
amount
you
of
don't
time.
think that Judge, if he wants to test the market after this season, he's going to get a 7-year deal somewhere? Judge will get paid. Judge is going to get paid. There's no doubt about it.
It's time to pony up, Hal.
And it's a different
It's time to pony
situation.
up.
You have to look beyond with the Yankees in this spot. Look just beyond the numbers and the potential injury. Now, understanding that they have 2 contracts that are $30 million annually through 2027. That's not a good equation for any team to be signing a cornerstone piece like Judge, who's going to demand definitely upwards of 30-35 million a year, if not more. I have no idea. I'm saying like 35 is what you're going to get Judge at. Yeah, man. Like,
Jesus Christ.
because right now the Yankees cannot afford to lose Aaron Judge. It will be a PR nightmare. He's the face of the franchise. He's the new Jeter, so to speak, the new Mattingly. If there's a guy that you could pick out of the Yankees the last 5-10 years, since Jeter's kind of
You can't miss him.
dissipated,
He's like 6'7".
Aaron Judge is the guy that you would pick, that you would dub to be the next captain.
I would
if there's
say so, yeah.
So Aaron Judge can't go anywhere. He gets the big deal. The Yankees have to pay a little bit of a premium to keep their guy in town, understanding that Aaron Judge will demand a boatload of money on the open market, if nothing else other than the fact of prying him away from the Yankees. But look what these other players are getting. You know
what's
these other guys that are getting.
What's crazy to me is that the Yankees payroll is through the roof again, but then look at like where it's allocated. It's allocated to like 4 players. You know what I'm saying? Like when the Mets and everybody else and the Dodgers and they're spending all this crazy money, they're divvying that out very well. The Yankees have divvied it out to Cole, Stanton's monster contract they took on, right? And that's really it.
Well,
if you think about it,
you
like
can't compare the Dodgers to anybody.
LeMahieu, I guess.
The Dodgers are just on a different. They're on a different plane when it comes to what they're willing to do and what the guys are willing to pay. So you can't really go by the Dodgers because they just broke the mold. They took what the Yankees did years ago and they said, all right, hold my beer. We're going to do this, but we're going to do it a lot worse. Ever since Magic Johnson became involved with the Dodgers, they were just all about spending money.
Good for them. You watch that new show about the Lakers?
Yeah, I'm three episodes in.
I'm about 3 episodes in too.
Oh, so good.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
You got
very
me.
good.
I'm in there.
Very good. It's very good. It's John C. Reilly is playing the owner of the
I
Lakers.
still was in it.
Yeah,
Is it
Dr. Buzz.
graphic?
The kid who's playing Kareem. I'm not Kareem. Magic. Great new actor. Brand new. It's his first role, like first big role. So like it's a good show, and it's shot really cool too.
A lot of behind the scenes stuff though.
Well,
It's all
but
basketball. or?
they pitch it. They pitch it in a way they're saying like, by the way, not all of this is true, but like most of it's true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, I like the way that like if I'm talking to you on screen, like, oh, we got to draft this guy, and he'll look directly at the camera saying, that's why I didn't draft this guy.
They break.
Like they're breaking that fourth wall. It's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
I like it.
in a very
yeah.
very good way.
Cool.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
definitely
Like a
dig it.
girl, the one of the assistants that works for the older owner, I think it's Cook.
Okay. Yeah,
Right? She gets constantly sexually harassed and bossed around, and like as she's like walking out of the
Where
room,
is she from?
She'll look over at the camera and like roll her
like
eyes
The
and shit
Office
like that.
kinda?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
with-
yeah.
oh,
Very
sweet.
much-
I'll
very
watch
similar
that.
to
Where is
Facts.
that girl from? That's definitely somebody that's like,
I would imagine L.A. because the show isn't. Yeah. I have no idea.
no, I'm
I
just saying,
understand
I've
what you're
seen
saying.
that girl before, but
There's
young,
this,
like real
this
young.
website that it's crazy. The internet. You just
Here we go.
on
All
Google
right.
or IMDb.
It's
and
called
check
google.com, and I'll
Yes.
go check that out myself. But yes, actually, it reminds me of Boogie Nights. That's the shot like that with that grainy, older look. I like it a lot. But anyway, so yes, unfortunate news for the Mets. The Yankees have been super quiet. They're bringing in, they got one more start, I think, today, and then everybody packs up and they're going to the Bronx.
I'm ready for baseball season. Enough of this. We don't need any more injuries.
That's
Also, the DeGrom injury is a perfect point as to why you should not hold your fantasy baseball draft until the Sunday before the opening day. Because could you imagine using a high-end pick on DeGrom?
You
maybe
would in the
10th
first
pick?
round.
That's what I'm saying. If you pick DeGrom 10th a week and a half ago, and now you're sitting there like, God damn it.
That's it. Like, what if it never happened? Right. It's big time. So speaking of our fantasy baseball draft, so we had that yesterday. 12 of us, myself and Gooch are in it. Auto Draft Dina's in it. She's also in the league. She picks. She pulls a swerve and a rabbit out the hat and gets Garrett Cole. I believe at 7th. right? And then she doesn't take another
He was
picture
my
till
first.
this morning, actually. She has still not added one more picture. The biggest swerve was all signs are pointing to Gooch taking Ohtani with pick one, round one, get that double threat. Let's do it. Ohtani's not the pick. The swerve was thrown.
Yes.
The wrench was thrown into the
I
draft
had
early.
plenty of time to do my research on this. And
Why
I can
didn't you draft
explain
Ohtani?
Why I didn't draft Ohtani? It's because if you took him and you separated him in a daily league or in any league for that matter, you can't start him in both spots at the same time. So there's a lot of like missing points in terms of Ohtani's realized points is what I'm looking at here. Essentially what you're doing if you draft Ohtani first is you're taking that potential for the best bat in baseball, which Ohtani has a good bat. But if you looked at even last season's averages per game, Ohtani's average fantasy points per game were, around 10 to 15, depending on your league. So I'm not taking the 15th best hitter overall just because he also pitches. And if you broke down his pitching starts, he's around the 35th pitcher. So to me, that's like the 8th to 10th round value.
So
I'm not trading the first pick overall for a 3rd round pick and a 10th round pick or an 8th round pick. I'm just not doing it. So I'd rather take my guy Juan Soto and just enjoy the plug and play bat. You leave him in, not plug and play, the set and forget guy. You leave him in. Ohtani also, it diminishes his value because he's only eligible at utility or DH. So you're kind of handcuffed.
Can't have
there.
them both at the same time?
My point being is you can't put him at outfield or first base, so you're stuck putting him in that. So you lose a lot of flexibility in a daily lineup because Ohtani's just stuck there. So you can't move things around. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but in this league it is. Okay. So Ohtani, he took a walk. I took Juan Soto first.
I was eyeing my guy, big man crush on Bryce Harper, and I wanted him very badly. I had the 9th overall pick, and AJ, former intern, Mr. Prop Beaver himself, scoops up Bryce Harper 2 spots before me. I can't say that I'm mad with who I wound up with. I wound up with Mookie Betts, one of the best players in baseball. So I'm not mad at it, but definitely was mad at the fact that I didn't get him. And then, like I said, Dina throws the wrench in, takes Cole with 8th. Scherzer goes 11th. Toast was the big pivotal one. I wanted to see what he did with the 12-13, and he winds up taking Corbin Burns and Kyle Tucker. That's pretty good. I think it's a nice little
Kyle
combo.
Tucker might be a little bit of a reach, but picking where he picks, if you want that guy, you got to take him.
You got to take him there. And then, of course, my ace was Robbie Ray. So hopefully he's an innings eater upper like he's been. And then, of course, the biggest wrench of the draft was thrown in by somebody not even involved in the draft. And that's when Jimmy Palumbo came back here to return the camera to Chop Studios. And he did the ultimate when you're doing a fantasy draft.
I'm going to take over here.
Yeah,
so Jimmy walks in,
drive the bus,
and I had just put Giancarlo Stanton in my draft next queue. So basically, I'm about to be picking in about 10 picks. So nobody has brought this guy up. I'm looking at the list, and I don't see him necessarily on the horizon. I know that there's a chance. Now, Dina luckily picked him, and she wasn't in the room, so she didn't hear it. But Jimmy broke the cardinal rule, and he came in and he drops Giancarlo.
We made it sure that she definitely has the room bugged.
Yeah, so
that's
I'm like,
she heard it. She heard it and drafted from home.
The next pick was Giancarlo Stanton, but I'm sitting in the room, and Jimmy comes in there, and now everybody's sitting there in between draft picks, and they're siphoning.
And keep in mind, there's only like 6 of us.
You're siphoning through like, okay, who am I gonna pick next? You're loading up your players in your queue, all that good stuff. Jimmy comes in and he does the Cardinal sin, and he drops Giancarlo Stanton's name. I gave him a look, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I lipped it angrily, but I didn't want the rest of the room to know that I was pissed off because then it would have played my hand that like he's clearly picking him next. So I tried to let Jimmy know just how aggravated I was all the while, but I don't think he read the room right.
No, he did not read the room.
Because I kept giving him a look like, would you shut the fuck up, Jim? And he kept going, oh, you guys are fucking dumb. You didn't pick Giancarlo. He's the best player in the league.
They stopped traffic for this guy.
I'm like, dude, I'm so angry right now. I'm skipping the show tomorrow. But no, I'll be there for the show.
Do you know why I picked him?
Jimmy, goddamn.
Why did you pick Giancarlo?
He's the only guy you knew at that point.
Yes, and I liked his name.
Oh, all right. Well, see, that's
he hits bombs.
Who let her in?
Also, if you need a pitcher,
let's talk.
I also like his name.
If you want to get rid of Garrett Cole too,
I also like his name.
Yeah, I'm a big Giancarlo.
I only
Stanton
have
fan.
one Yankee, and it's Isaiah Kiner Falafel.
Falafel.
That doesn't count.
Blah, blah.
Even though I do think he's going to be a solid, just
It'd be a good guy, but I don't know if he's
back
going to hit
end-
for average
No, he's
or
a
anything
middle
like
of the
that.
field plug and play. I'll be
So that's how you broke your phone, apparently, according to Scoop, is because Jimmy came in and you just it's so funny, Scoop, that you chime in. It's funny you should chime in because you then also broke the same goddamn rule by talking about my man, Luis Severino. Okay. Severino was there listed as a relief pitcher. And I know that he's on the front page of all the people, but not one whisper, not nothing. Nobody said anything. And I said, you know what?
Yeah,
he's going to get to me and I'm going to take the second best pitcher on the Yankees.
I pled the fifth on this one, and I didn't say anything during that little dust up between you and Scoop.
I wanted to kill him.
But Scoop, I got to admit, man, you can't do that. I don't give a fuck where the guy is on the list. That was a bad
He's like, he's on the main page. I'm like, no, so is everybody
it's simply
else.
just something that you should not do.
Not at all.
At all. Period. The end of story. Also, you know what else you probably shouldn't do? Show up live and draft ever again. I fucking hated it. No offense to anybody that showed up. It
Did
was
the pandemic ruin that experience for you? Like, are you officially going forward?
What ruined the experience was being
Scoop?
asked a fucking question at all by anybody when I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. There was too many times where I'm prepared. I'm well prepared, but then I pick, and then because I pick first, I have now 23 picks in between when I pick next. So I kind of get into a conversation, and then all of a sudden it's 6 picks later, you don't even know who went. So I have guys that I'm looking to draft that just got picked.
Don't just blame the guys.
What do you mean?
With starting conversation.
But that was tail end, and honestly, I know what he's getting at. Ashley came in and was trying to show me videos of a cat licking a Cheeto or something. When I was like,
that was the best part.
I have
But
two
she's like,
picks
Chris,
back
look.
to back. She's like, look,
Chris,
and I just
look.
put my
And then
hand
you're like,
up.
no, hold on.
My voice also just cracked.
No,
That was terrible.
I think I covered you up there. She's like, Chris, look. And Chris kind of gave her the hold on 1 second. She goes, yeah, but it's a cat licking a Cheeto. Like, it was the funniest. I laughed real hard, and I was like, it's probably a really good video, but Chris is on the clock.
Yes. All right. So now, for anybody that has a fantasy draft, that was funny. But this we're going to give some pertinent information for anybody that is kind of looking at some of these players that you might be targeting that went super late in our draft. Luis Robert went in the 7th round. I think that has a chance to be. He's like 5th in the AL to win MVP. Him going that late.
Your on the way back picks were good, but with a risk with Acuna.
Yeah,
like that one. I think you took a little bit of a risk.
Like
but
Acuna, I think is going to be fine. Last year, he was the best hitter in fantasy before he went down. I think he'll pick up right.
Who
where
was
he
the
left
dude
off.
that got the DV, the domestic violence stuff on the Braves? He was having a hell of a year too, and then he got derailed.
Yeah, he's not on the list though, so I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
Right.
But Luis Robert, great pick. I think he has a chance this year to really come into his own. You look at his doubles last year. I like young players. I should have told you this before the draft. Check all young players' doubles. If they have a lot of doubles,
It means they're hustling.
no, it means that like as they get that manpower, meaning like you're 21, 22 years old and you're hitting a lot of doubles. By the time you're 23, 24, 25, those doubles turn into home runs. So
Like my boy Whit.
yeah, he might be a little early on him, but he's going to be productive. Just maybe not the man
I
yet.
decided to take a prehistoric risk later on in the draft. And this is why ESPN now has me ranked as an 8% chance to make the playoffs. I took a risk on Robbie Cano to play a little DH for me.
It's not really a risk. I think that's a good value.
I took a very long shot on
worst pick
Albert Pujols.
Worst pick of the draft was Trevor Bauer in the 14th round.
That was you.
But I also think that there is a chance that could be one of the better picks of the draft.
Mhm.
I'll just have to sit there and wait. There's 36 spots in the roster.
I also took Domingo Herman and put him on the 60-day IL. So I'll grab him around 4th of July. But yeah, no, overall, I think the
Dave, there's a good chance that the last 3 players that you named, Cano, you'll probably start here and there. The other guys you might never put in.
I told you what's going to happen. It's going to come down to the last day. I'm going to be playing somebody where I need like 10 points to win, and I'm going to have Pujols in my lineup, and he's going to go yard twice, and I'm going to win because of Albert effing Pujols. Like, get out of here. Crazy.
10 points, you would probably need.
Listen,
him to go
man,
yard
I'm
once.
arbitrarily just
Yeah.
throwing out a
No,
number.
we're good. We're
I don't
good.
even know. I just had to ask you another question today about like setting lineup. It's been so long since like I used to do a roto league where it's like set it, forget about it. You know what I mean? And like see what works best. And then you got to watch your innings and this, that, and the third. You know that I used to get penalized for innings?
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Isn't that like a thing? Like,
No, it's just like the rules, the league rules. It depends on the league.
well, this league ain't doing it. We're not
Because
getting penalized for innings
No, I know.
because it's normal baseball. That's baseball, Susan.
People would argue that my league is not that normal, but
I like your league so far. I mean, so far. I mean, obviously, I played Carl week 1, so your ass is mine, Carl. Anyway, so that was our fantasy baseball draft. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time, other than the hiccups known as Jimmy Palumbo and Scoop. And Scoop's guys were real good dudes too, so they came in here. I have met those guys. Actually, Funny story. I met those guys the night that the Packers lost to the Niners. One guy's a Niners fan, so he was big on the Niners for that one. So anyway, before we get into any of the basketball stuff, I do have to talk to you guys about the Fusco Insurance Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Fusco, who, by the way, emailed me last week. This is the brand new logo you're seeing on your screen right now. He emailed me saying, can we focus on a couple things per week? He can do whatever he wants because he's partnered with Chop Sports. Very pumped about it. He offers personal and commercial lines, life insurance, health insurance. They even help with retirement, employee benefit administration. This is the full force powerhouse agency. It's tax season. We actually just got our taxes back yesterday. We're not back, but like we got them filed yesterday. If you want to file through him, he uses his own very own Prestige Tax Group, tax preparation and planning. They do bookkeeping, payroll, retirement planning, insurance and asset protection, and even life settlements. If you got bad credit, if you're struggling with that, be sure to head on over to the fiscally fit credit repair that Fusco Insurance Agency offers. They offer exclusive plans, and Fusco's promise to you is that you cannot lose any money, and you can participate in all the gains with a cap. If you're looking for a blend of personal service and expertise, you come to the right place. They offer a broad range of services, business owners, independent professionals. Their rates are very affordable. He's very experienced, and of course, the most important part about all of this, he's a good dude. It's a good agency. Go check him out. The website's on the bottom of the screen. If you're listening, it's www.fuscoinsuranceagency.com. So that's Fusco, and I hope he had a great weekend as well. And of course, the re-debut of the Manscape reads.
Boys, spring has sprung, and I'm wondering if you started your spring cleaning yet.
I have.
You need to mow the lawn. You need to trim the hedges. Spring has sprung. Global leaders in below-the-waist grooming have the best tools for cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. Time to clear out your winter bush and join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off. Use the promo code CHOPSPORTS. All right, so you all know that the Manscaped has the full package you need for your balls this summer. Performance Package 4.0 offers the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer with the LED light that we all know and love. Keeps your balls smelling like tulips. Did you write that?
I did not write
because
that.
I do not want my balls smelling like tulips.
That was copy.
I feel like
that
that's
was
a
copy
major
from
red flag.
Manscaped.
Nonetheless, we could take care of all the smells because we got the crop preserver and the ball deodorant.
And what do you do with it?
You slap your hands together, give it a nice lather, and go down. What would you call it? Aisle 5? You just slide that hand up that ass crack, otherwise known as aisle 5, right?
Y'all can't see him acting this out.
Yeah.
Right. And then what you got is you just let gravity do the work, and it drips down to the tank jungle. After you use the trimmer, of course, with the LED 4K billion light. Is that what we're calling it? The 4K billion now? So, yes, we also got the trimmer, right? The ear, hair, and nose hair trimmer, the Weed Whacker. Is it also a 4.0?
I don't know. Sure.
We'll call it the 5.0. So
why not?
The ear hair trimmer and the nose hair whacker 5.0. You stick it in your nostril. Make sure you clean it off good afterwards, because if your girlfriend's going to be using it, she will definitely call you out for the boogers that you leave in that trench. So, boys and girls, Lawnmower 4.0, manscaped.com, 20% off. Use the promo code CHOPSPORTS. Thank you very much.
Don't forget about the Plow 2.0.
Don't forget about the Plow.
This Plow is brand new.
So, look, this is the whole thing that I don't understand. I've had no issue in the past using this one on my balls and my face because it is also waterproof. So, but the problem is not everybody cleans it well, even though you're in the water. And not everybody kind of cleans their ass that great either. So there's no reason why you should be using your asshole trimmer on your face. So no more of that. You got the, what is it called? The buzz cutter? What is it?
The snow plow.
The snow plow.
It's just a plow.
The plow, right?
The snow plow.
The face plow. This sounds like a terrible porno. The face plow 2.0. I'm sure I'll get a text about that from Ash, but nonetheless, it's got all the goods.
You won't get it.
And on a more serious note, we
yes.
got where is it? Where are we looking here? Do I have that?
Yes, you have it.
Okay, yes. So April is the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and Manscaped is partnered with Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. So it's the We Save Balls initiative. Manscaped is committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35 and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer as we save the balls. So I know everybody that's listening either has had an issue or knows somebody very close to them, or even just a family friend who has had an issue with their balls having a lump on them. So
yes,
I remember way back in like elementary school, everybody joked when we got the they passed around the prosthetic nutsack. You could take this graphic down. Oh, it's good. I was showing Dave. I was going to pass him the prosthetic nutsack, where you get to kind of massage around and feel for that lump. Very important, boys.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Hold on.
I'm going to tell you right now. That's never happened in my life.
Me neither, Chris.
So I don't know where the hell you went to school.
You didn't have. Well, I went to Woodbridge Township. So
And
you went to Colonia. Okay.
They passed around a prosthetic ball sack with fake cancer lumps in it.
What
And we had
class
to
was
feel-
this?
This was sex ed. This was in elementary school.
Is this
So
right
this
after
was
you
like
found the
health
radioactive
class.
Was this
rock?
next to the
That's some
rock?
high
It was
tech
next to the
shit.
rock. Maybe that's where the ball cancer grew, from the radioactive
Oh
rock.
my
Terrible
goodness
joke. But it
Christ,
worked.
Jesus hell.
Nonetheless, they did pass that around, and it's a very important thing. Make sure today, if you're watching this show, when you're taking a shower later and you're trimming with your 4.0 lawnmower, make sure you give a good grip and feel your ball sack. You don't even have to do the paper bag or the plastic
Batwing.
bag.
The bat wing.
You actually want to squeeze it tight, right? So get a handful at the base, right? And
Is this
squeeze your
happening
balls
right now?
tight.
This is happening.
And then you massage it and make sure you don't have any lumps. in
What if?
there.
Hold on, wait a second. So I have a question. So when you used to
This
go to the
is
doctors,
really
right, for
happening.
football,
Yeah, cough.
the nurse would put your nuts in her hand and say,
Making
"Cough."
sure you don't have a hernia.
What was that about? Did
Hernia.
that do anything?
Hernia detection.
Bro, I used to put my nuts and cough all the time and never felt my nuts shake or nothing. How do you know if you have a hernia? How do they know?
Well, if you
It'll
were a
expand.
doctor, then maybe you would know, but I don't. I
So-
sure as hell
Well,
don't.
I'm not the one.
Right?
You're asking us as if like I have WebMD right
Well,
here.
he had
I
a
know.
teacher hand him a thing of fake nuts. I thought he would know.
Very true. Very true.
But like,
Not wrong.
I was holding the balls and I was like, okay, now cough. And they didn't fucking cough. So I
What
was
a
like, I have no
wacky,
idea how
wacky
this
thing.
works.
But guess what? You can go to manscape.com and support the We Save Balls initiative. 20% off if you use the code CHOPSPORTS. So we're back with Manscaped. Thank you, Gooch. We appreciate
That
you.
will improve. I looked
yeah.
at this as if I was reading it and I read
You
none
didn't
of
read.
it.
You didn't read the one line where you can smell fresh and so clean, and check yourself
Oh, no.
before you wreck yourself.
I did that on
Check
purpose.
yourself before you wreck yourself.
Oh boy. Anyway, this past weekend, it wasn't just about WrestleMania, ladies and gents. It was about the NCAA Final Four. And one of the better games of the weekend, one of the better games of the tournament, was in fact UNC and Duke. And now everybody out there, and I felt like outside of maybe 2-3 people that I know that were really pulling for Duke because they're Duke fans, this was a very pro-heavy UNC crowd as far as the people that I know. I know you, Nick Shine, other people that are just North Carolina crazy Tar Heel fans. But they got the job done, and it was a great game, bro. Like 17 or 18 lead changes, like it was absolutely nuts. A great game. Like I said, I watched it on my phone. It is the final blow to Coach K, and it's it, no more. And apparently, he didn't do much handshaking at the end.
He's such a bitch.
Is what I'm reading.
Sad.
That he kind of just walked off, said peace, But I did see him and Hubert Davis embrace.
So I got to admit, though, look, I have no issue with being a sore loser. I'm definitely one of them. So I'm not going to necessarily crucify Coach K. What gets me is like the post-game press conference where Coach K's like, guys, it's not about me. Like, bro, it's always been about you. Don't sit here in front of everybody now and talk like it's not. It has always been about Coach K. And anybody that's a Duke fan might disagree with me, but in your core, you know that Coach K is definitely a narcissistic prick. Am I wrong about this? Look at his face the entire tournament.
That's
You know?
hard. It's hard to look at his face the entire tournament.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Hard to
Coach
look
K.
at.
Now, people will sit here and say, and this is what people always do to me. They're like, oh, Coach K, you talk so much shit, but you got to admit he's the GOAT, right? I actually don't. I don't admit it. I don't have to admit anything. I think Coach K is
Well, what I compare him.
overrated.
I can make the comparison to like when people talk to you about Belichick. Like, hard to look at, but he's the GOAT.
Well, Belichick and Coach K, I think, are on different planes. I think when you look, college basketball and the NFL are different. I think when you're a perennial powerhouse like a Duke or a Kentucky, it's almost made easier for you. Now, Coach K had a lot to do with that, and I'm not disagreeing that. I'm not discounting anything the guy's done. That would be ridiculous to do.
Right.
But I think in the Mount Rushmore of coaching, I would put Belichick on there way before Coach K, and you could make the case that Coach K is the greatest college basketball coach of all time, for sure. I think dealing with professionals is a little bit harder, and when you're at Duke, recruiting college basketball players is very easy, at this point. And like I said, he put himself in that position. I can't take that away from him. But
Do you think that changes the landscape as far as recruiting goes? Now that Coach K is not going anymore?
Yes, I do. But at the end of the day, I'm sure Duke has had his heir apparent in there for quite some time now, right?
John Shire, yeah.
So he's a guy that pretty much has been brought along to do what he's doing. And I don't think Duke is going to miss a beat. North Carolina is right now in the very similar spot where they lost another legendary coach. Roy Williams goes, and look what Hubert Davis has them.
Hell
doing.
yeah.
North Carolina,
Former Nick
is fine. So
I will ask you this, and it was brought up on the Chop Sports Facebook group. I think Brian Casey brought it up. Is this the greatest rivalry in sports right now, currently? Duke, North Carolina?
No.
What's better? I tried to pitch the Red Sox Yankees, but that's lost its luster.
It's hard. It definitely hasn't lost its luster. You talk to me if there's a playoff match like last year, that was a great game. Now, just in terms of the way athletes approach things now, I think all rivalries have taken a backseat in terms of how they used to be, right? The players now are all friends. A lot of these guys, it's not like the hatred and the vitriol that you used to see back in the day. But yeah, in terms of the amount of games played, you look at Coach K's career against North Carolina after this loss, 50-50. So yes, it's a great rivalry, but when you're talking about the greatest in sports, it's hard for me to give it to one or the other. It's like, which one draws the most passion out of you? If you're a college basketball fan, you're clearly going to say that. If you're an NFL fan, you might say Ravens Steelers, you might say Packers Bears, you might say Cowboys in any East team in the East. You know, it depends on where you're at in your sports fanhood. But for me, it's just hard for me to go with anything other than NFL or MLB.
Just because of the juggernaut that they are.
I just think that I'm a pro sports guy. So for me, it would be Packers Bears. I'm a Packers fan.
That's not even close.
It would be Yankees Red Sox.
The rivalries have to be competitive. The Packers and Bears haven't been competitive.
So it hasn't been competitive
20
for a
years.
while, but it used to be the other way around. Like the Bears and the Packers, if you look at their totals, it is competitive. It just hasn't been for a while. So while I agree,
well, that's why I asked if it was the best in sports right now.
Now I asked you this question. How before 2003 was it competitive between the Yankees and the Red Sox? I feel like it was almost at its peak when it wasn't competitive.
I thought it was at its peak when the Yankees actually lost.
Well, that's not to me. It wasn't.
It's at its peak of
to me, I'm just saying that the darkest time in my life.
No, I wholeheartedly agree as a fan. But at when they hated each other back then, we were talking the bloody sock. We're talking the Clemens and all. You know what I mean? Like that's when it was the hottest, if anything. When we lost that series, would probably be the hottest in the peak that it was. But like I'm talking about like right now. It's hard. I mean, maybe like college football, like Bama and somebody,
Michigan, Ohio State, with Harbaugh
because
right
those
now,
guys, at least those programs are always putting out product. Even when you said the Cowboys against anybody in the East, like yeah, of course, there's nobody I hate more in life than the Giants, Eagles, and the Redskins or the Commanders, whatever the fuck they are. Like there's nobody I hate more than them. But it's not much of a rivalry when Dallas can stomp them out every so often. You know what I mean? Like that's not a rivalry to me. Yeah. Like it's a rivalry because I grew up with it. But like right now in sports, I think Duke and North Carolina kind of take the cake.
Here's a tidbit right now. With Duke losing on Sunday or whatever.
They're even, right?
Yeah. Well, in Coach K's career, that made it, right? It was 49-50. Now it's 50-50. So it's kind of cool for John Shire to step in now. It's like, all right, well, now it's 0-0.
New legacy, it's 0-0.
It's him and Hubert Davis. So it's like, we're both new coaches. Let's go and we'll start our own thing. And that's why college basketball, Duke, North Carolina is fantastic. It's great. It's still Duke and North Carolina,
correct.
No matter who's coaching.
I'm also kind of, how do you feel about the whole, naming your successor? You like that idea? When you're Coach K, when you could do that, but like, by the way, there won't be a search. It's this guy.
Well,
He's the coach.
I wouldn't say that that's happening by any stretch. I think it's a collective agreement where they're sitting there and you're talking about when you have the relationship that Coach K has with Duke, which means like he is Duke. He goes and he calls shots. Coach K is going to be with the program, I'm sure, doing certain other things, maybe not in the capacity that he's now with the recruiting and things. But Coach K and the Duke athletic director, however they run things over there, I'm sure that, like I said, they've had this meeting for years on years. And this guy's been handpicked just to keep the ball rolling the same way. And that's typically how it should be done when you have success the way they have. There's no reason to break the mold.
Okay. Interesting. The other game on the other side, a little bit of a landslide. To my surprise, I picked Nova to win that game. Now that's not true. I did cash on both games. Thank you, Toast, for those bets. But Kansas takes them out 81-65. And now Villanova's story is over. Again, I didn't see this game. So I can't tell you what was what, but I just by looking at the score,
don't know his name.
I'm a box score guy, I guess, right now.
I gotta look. Don't know the dude's name. Maybe Rob's got it in here, but the dude from Kansas, the white kid, could shoot. catch and release. I don't know how many points he had, but he hit some big shots, and they were like it's rare when you could see like a highlight reel three. You know, this dude had dudes in his face, and his release was so quick. Not sure his name though, because I didn't watch the game, but I just saw the highlights. But it was not much of a game. They beat him pillar to post, you could call it. They beat the shit out of him.
It did get away. I did watch the score as it was happening because I was busy, but like I was like, this is kind of getting away from him quick.
Shoots like that, they're going to be tough to beat.
So that leads us to obviously tonight.
Yeah,
tonight, Monday, by the way, is the national championship game.
UNC's got an injury situation. What's the guy's name that hurt his ankle?
Backhot or whatever. He's one of their like
some secret footage was released that Coach K actually went up to that guy and said, "You're the best player in the country." Like after the fact.
Secret footage. Coach K was like, guys, come over here, film this.
Bring the crew.
I'm about to
Bring
tell
everybody
this guy that he's the best, so everyone sees how great of a guy I am. Sorry.
Tommy D brought up a point before, saying that like you're all about Coach K and hating on him.
I'm glad you brought this up.
But you're an Aaron Rodgers guy. He's very similar.
Is Aaron Rodgers similar?
He does like the attention. He does.
The media. So my thing is, Aaron Rodgers makes it about him. I think at this point he's just playing with the media. I don't think Aaron Rodgers gives a shit.
Oh, he can play him like a fiddle at this point.
During the season, in game situations, you might want to say Aaron Rodgers, the offseason drama, fine. But when it's after the game, Aaron Rodgers isn't. I don't think there's been much issues with Rodgers in season at all. Making it about him, I feel like if anything, he deflects, talks of making posts about how his. I mean, maybe I see the point. But
yeah. All right. Anyway, tonight. No. Kansas favored by.
I also like Aaron Rodgers and I hate Coach K, so I don't see any of that.
So it's a difference because your blinders are up and you don't want to actually notice.
Yeah, everybody's got some bias in them.
Not me. But anyway, so the Kansas, they're going to go in there tonight, -4 favorites over UNC. I was a big Hubert Davis fan when he was a Knick. I was rooting for North Carolina to win the game. I thought Duke was actually going to win the game, but I was rooting for North Carolina. So I'm sticking with it. And I'm going to stick with North Carolina to win the national championship. Shout out Jesse Holley, who will be probably insufferable if they actually win the entire thing. But I'm going to take those in this one. You can give me the +4 all day. It's kind of the same mentality that I had going into the Duke game. Like, you're giving me 4 points with North Carolina. I'm taking that all day.
So outside of the St. Peter's game, I don't think North Carolina was favored in any other game that they played in.
I think they're an 8 seed, right?
Yeah. I think that's
pretty impressive.
A point and a half in the opening round.
Nice little dream run here.
One that's in question. So North Carolina, they've been in this spot before as recently as last week or 2 days ago. Kansas hits those shots the way they did in the Final Four game. It's going to be tough to beat, like I said. But UNC has the size down low, and I think.
Can we talk about the tip-off time of this game?
No.
Why?
Oh, sure.
Why?
What is it?
9:30? Like, look, I'm going to sound like the get off my lawn, I'm old guy, but like, I'm 36 years old. I get tired. I got 2 kids. I'm very tired at the end of the day after working and then doing bath time and bedtime and all that other stuff. I guess it'll work for the people that are like, oh, cool, the game hasn't started yet. I didn't miss anything. But it's also like, I need caffeine to stay up.
It's also the college basketball games are pretty quick.
No, they're not. That's the thing. This one's going to go 2 hours, 3 hours.
2 hours.
Halftime's going to be longer. It's the pageantry of the whole intros and shit. But Jesus Christ, to tip this thing off so late is
tip-off is 9:30, you said?
It's something to that effect. Maybe 9:40. It's something crazy where I'm just like, why can't it just be 8 o'clock like the rest of the world?
What time is it at?
It's like 9:19, I think.
9:19.
Like 9:18. Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing? Like,
why? A little stat.
So when you get home at 6 p.m. In California, you could watch the game at a normal time. If they put it at 8, it would be like, hey, we don't care about you guys. You're still on the way home from work. They got to do it. Makes sense.
I guess for that aspect,
or they should just 8:30 plan it for the weekend.
Correct, but this goes along with the NCAA football championship as well. Oh, by the way, sorry, I totally remissed this. Congrats are in order to South Carolina for winning the women's bracket.
Huge win.
I didn't watch a single ounce of that tournament, but I did see that they won yesterday, so I don't want to totally just go right over those girls. But I would just say like the start time is just it's unnecessary.
Here's a little stat. So
okay.
North Carolina has beaten UCLA and Duke and now faces Kansas. No team has beaten UCLA, Duke, and Kansas in the same season, whether in an NCAA tournament or otherwise, since Digger Phelps did it in 1973 with Notre Dame.
73 is a good year. I couldn't tell you what the
Digger
fuck happened in
Phelps.
73, but
So yeah, let me go.
Gooch was born.
Let me go into a few things
Probably.
too, because Rob did some decent research this morning, and I don't want to make his hard work go to waste.
yeah,
so
absolutely.
a little comparison between the two teams. So points per game, you got Kansas averaging almost 80 at 78.1, and UNC very similar, 78.4. So the offenses are both pretty high powered. Points against.
So
Kansas,
no first half unders, Toast.
Yeah, points against.
today.
But I mean, maybe because it's high. It's 152,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
high.
very high. Points against. You
First
got
half under?
Kansas. Kansas has a far better
Oh.
defensive team at 60.8 points per game, and UNC at 68.2. Field goal percentage, Kansas obviously shoots a little bit better because they're one of the better shooting
They
teams.
couldn't
in the
miss
country.
in the beginning of that game.
Almost shooting at a 50% clip. North Carolina is at 45%. Rebounds, as we all expected, UNC has the edge in rebounding. I think they're one of the better rebounding teams. I could be wrong. Toast, correct me if I'm wrong. Both assists even, which I guess is kind of irrelevant. And this is kind of throws me off a little bit. The Kansas has better team in blocks, so they have more blocks per game. Their defense is better. So I guess it doesn't really throw me off. I'm just imagining with the rebounds, you would also accompany that with a better defensive team, but it's not the case. So the guards on Kansas are legit at stopping things from getting to the middle. I still think UNC wins it
I think so too.
because
I mean,
I'm a UNC fan.
it would be again, a great story. 8 seed, nobody expecting them to win this thing. So we'll see. It goes down tonight, way late. So, by midnight, you'll figure out who the NCAA national champion is on the men's side of things. But yeah, I'm also taking the +4 on that 100%. And Toast is probably not chiming in because he's getting his beauty rest. He is out there in Alaska right now, and this is the biggest game of the year for him to pick. So he's got to get it right.
Can I be honest? I just can't wait for college basketball to end
Oh, wow. Okay. Why?
because baseball season's here, and then we could start talking about things that I know.
Such as the NFL draft. That's also in full swing with all the prep work and the mock drafts and all this other stuff. We'll get into that as the week goes along. Tomorrow, we thought we were going to do it today, but there was a lot of stuff to talk about today. Tomorrow, we're going to go over our MLB season predictions as far as, who's winning all the divisions, who's the World Series champ. Couple futures.
Check out
Also,
some-
I want to pick MVPs. I can't say rookie of the years. That's too hard, I think. Right? I mean, I couldn't do it.
I mean,
But-
I'll do it.
I have all that on there too.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I'll
anyway,
pick-
we'll
I'll pick
pick
out a
all the
couple of
awards
rookies
and
for you.
stuff, and we'll give your predictions. We want to hear from you guys tomorrow on your predictions as well. There's a lot of over-unders as far as win totals are concerned. I was a little alarmed about the Yankees one. A lot of people were picking the under. So we shall
the
see.
The Yankees over/under on wins is a little alarming to me.
See, Ken, the difference is, and Ken's just bringing up a point. Are you going to be able to stay awake for the end of the first round, Dave? It might end at 10:30. Yeah. Reason being is that we'll probably be at a outdoor wherever we are to watch the draft. So I'll clearly be awake and we'll have a party for it. And I'll have some booze in me, even though that kind of makes me tired too. But I'll be awake. All right. I'll be awake for the draft. And I'm a big NFL guy. So that stuff I can watch before they were good. I could watch a Jaguars-Texans game and be excited about it. Trust me on that. But, this basketball game tonight, don't get me wrong, championship game, greatest game of the year. I'll be watching it, but it is also the Raw after WrestleMania. So come on now. I mean, I openly admit that I'm watching the Raw after WrestleMania before anything else.
Probably the biggest Raw in a long time.
Yeah. We'll definitely dive into that later on. Other things that popped up over the weekend, Xavier Howard makes the big money. He gets the bag from the Dolphins. Dolphins are just free spending right now. They trade Devontae Parker. Ready for this one? Devontae Parker traded for a third to the New England Patriots, and the Cowboys got a fifth for Amari Cooper. Figure that out. Make it make sense. I don't,
It
that's
makes
rough.
a lot of sense. The Cowboys giving away the contract is where they lost all their leverage. They got to take on that contract. Devontae Parker's not getting paid that much. They actually got a little bit more than I thought, but they had to give a fifth back, which I think is irrelevant.
They said that this could be the end of the Keneal and Neil Harry experiment. That might be done.
I'll experiment with him. Send him over to Green Bay. I could take anybody
Pause.
that has caught a pass in their life. You could go to Green Bay and give it a shot. Right?
Because
There's
as of right
a lot
now,
of targets to go around in Green Bay.
Alan
as of
Lazard
right now.
is looking like wide receiver 1 prime material for Aaron Rodgers. So definitely, I can't believe they didn't address anything in the free agency. That's crazy. Oh, and shout out to the Seahawks.
Well, Jarvis Landry's still available.
But they still haven't done anything, is what I'm saying. There's plenty of guys available.
A lot of draft capital
But
in the top.
shout out to the Seahawks, who officially tried to. They did this with Russ. He's not available for trade. And then, like 8 seconds later, he was traded to the Broncos. They're saying that now for the perfect offer, DK is going to be on the move. So I think if I had to make a bold prediction with capital, money, everything involved, the Jets.
Yes, sir.
That's the Jets. That's the Jets move to make the ball's in their court. All they got to say is, we'll give you the 10th, and we'll give you next year's 2 or some shit like that.
That's where he's going.
It's going to be lucrative. It's going to be lucrative.
I think it would be a very.
They're also talking about AJ Brown.
It'll be a panic move.
I don't know if it's a panic move.
Why would it be?
Why it's a panic move?
We still have our top. We still have the number 4 if we give them the 10.
The reason being is because I don't think the Jets are in a position. I think that they're a little behind on a rebuild. Right? They started the rebuild for the last 5 years. They haven't gotten far with it. While they have money, they have draft capital. The best way to build a team is not to get rid of your draft capital for a guy that is now in his second deal. So you're going to pay DK very similar to the money that Devontae Adams got. You don't realize DK is going to get $25 million a year. That's crazy for a guy that I'd say that he has potential to be a top 10 receiver, but I don't think he is one.
Would you do the same deal for an AJ Brown?
No, he has no knees. And I like AJ Brown, the player. I think he's a tough guy, and he played 2 seasons ago with 2 knee surgeries needed, 1 on each knee. But the fact is that he had knee surgery on each knee, and it's a recurring thing. I like the player.
I forgot he actually played ball with Elijah Moore at college.
Both of them did.
I don't like the investment, and I understand what they're trying to do over there.
Oh, shit, you're right.
I understand what they're trying to do over there with the Jets. I just think it's a very similar situation with a little bit better player than Galladay that the Giants did. Just it's not the time to give the receiver the big money because you don't even have a situation for him to flourish in. You know, I just don't see it.
I think the Jets are a big time playmaker away from being legitimately competitive in the AFC.
It's going to be
if you get DK Metcalf with that offensive young offense.
AFC, I'm looking at the scope of the AFC.
Yeah, it's loaded. Don't get me wrong. I
don't think that the Jets are even close, but it's all depending on how good Zach Wilson can or cannot be. DK may or may not help that, but DK has a drops issue and he's going to demand a ton of money. I think it's going to create issues as to retaining a lot of these players. Bro, draft capital for a team like the Jets right now, that's what they need. They don't need a star receiver. Maybe they want to sell some tickets, I guess, but if you're 4-12, I don't give a fuck who's catching the ball. Nobody's going to give a shit. DK could have purple hair all he wants. If the team isn't winning games, DK's not selling tickets, and you're going to pay him a lot of money to be on a sucky team. That's my opinion.
And you know what? That's valid. All that's valid. I'm not going to argue on it. I just think that the Jets have the room, both financially and draft capital wise, to do this kind of move.
You're not wrong. It's just I think it'll set their franchise back.
I don't think the Jets are thinking about selling tickets right now, to be honest.
I don't either. I don't think in the offseason anybody should be looking to sell tickets. I think that time comes when
it's business.
Look, winning games sells tickets. You're not doing a thing that's like, I don't think it's going to help us win, but Tim Tebow coming in, people will buy tickets. That I can understand.
Well, by the way, it was available in the ESPN fantasy baseball
draft. I can understand that in a situation like your Jacksonville, you're not going to win games. Or Carolina, when their quarterback situation went to shit last year and Cam Newton became available. I don't think they thought Cam was going to come save their season, but it was like, okay, we're kind of middling right now. We're on a downward trajectory. We got some injury issues. We haven't won a game in 4 weeks. Let's bring Cam in to, pump some life into the
Remember the I'm back?
That makes sense. Oh, God.
I'm back. Right, and he just completely sucked for the rest of the game.
He was like 4 for 11, 14 yards passing, 2 rushes, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he went back.
Speaking of quarterbacks.
And he fumbled one. And he also fumbled one.
Did you see Kaepernick at Michigan's halftime this weekend?
What do you mean halftime?
He threw 2. That's what he did. It was a spring game, and he came out at halftime and threw.
Yeah, and so there was some NFL scouts there and stuff. I don't foresee
so what's
that
interesting
happening
to
anymore.
me about that is
it's over.
Did Jim Harbaugh have anything to do with his benching, or did that come after?
Holy shit!
Because Jim Harbaugh is the head coach at Michigan football. What's he doing at Michigan basketballs or Michigan football's pro day? If Jim Harbaugh was one of the guys that was like behind.
No, but Jim was on his way out though. Like Jim and they didn't get in.
Kaepernick's best year was under Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
that's why this whole thing was done.
Probably.
But going into the whole Kaepernick situation, I believe it was a preseason game or it was week 1 of the season. Like he was named the backup already Was that Harbaugh's last season?
No, I
Did
think he was
Harbaugh-
gone
I think it was gone.
Yeah.
Well, then
So
it
then
makes a
the
little
head
bit more
coach was
sense.
who took over for Harbaugh? I forget. Why can't I think about this? Whoa, what the hell?
Some bum.
Shanahan?
No, Shanahan came after.
Shanahan.
Somebody came before Shanahan.
There was
Was it
somebody in
Mike
between.
Nolan?
I think that was before Harbaugh. Mike
Yeah,
Nolan.
he took over for Nolan, and then Nolan became the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator for a cup of coffee and had the historically
if
worst
anybody
defense
has the
in
coach
history.
that took over for Jim Harbaugh, quick.
I could see
Rob's
Cap in the
doing
blue
it.
and silver, Dave. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you do it. Listen, and yes, there's been clickbait articles put out there by Mike Fisher of
It
Sports
might-
Illustrated.
Chip Kelly.
Chip
Chip
Kelly.
Kelly.
Oh,
And
Remember
Jim-
that shit?
Jim
Remember-
Tomasulo was before that.
wow.
So there was two in between.
Because Harbaugh
Wow.
had a problem with he was supposed to come back, and then whoever the
Oh,
GM
what about
was.
Singletary?
No,
No, that was before that.
Oh,
That was before Harbaugh.
Doucette came out. That was the black guy with glasses.
Singletary, Singletary's rant was one of the best of all time.
They
They
was.
kicked
We
Vernon
need
Davis
winners.
off the
Can't do it.
sideline.
That's
Can't do it. Can't do it. We need winners.
Realistic,
Oh,
though.
Oh my God! So no, I don't foresee Kaepernick. Kaepernick will probably land this year.
He
I think
said, he will.
finally.
He said he'll play back up right now. No
I think.
problem.
Real bold of him.
I mean, he's like 36.
And
Well,
he
yeah.
stinks at football. Like, yeah, okay, you will be a backup. You're not top
He's-
32 in the world. You're not.
No,
He's definitely
Chris,
not
don't
top
shake your
32.
head.
I'm saying that I don't think that he stinks at football because he's good at football. He's just not an NFL quarterback anymore. But 35th best quarterback, 40th best in the world, I might give him that. That doesn't stink. He's a backup.
He plays for Carolina right now. Starts.
No, I
No.
just said he's not a starter
Absolutely
anywhere.
I don't
He's
think
not even a
starts in the
starter
league.
over Davis
I
Mills in
didn't-
Houston.
I'm-
I'm
and, like,
fact.
Just to
No cap,
clarify,
as they
just to
say in the
clarify,
streets.
I do not care about any of the off the field shit.
No, me neither. I
personally.
don't either. I don't
Right,
care
like
about
when
any
the
of that shit.
Packers, when this whole thing was like the hot button issue, Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. They were 3-0. Cap was sitting there. I'm like, the fuck are we doing with Seneca Wallace, or whoever else? Like,
Similar style.
what was it, Scott Tolzien? Like, come on, bro. The Cap was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Bring him in. That's what I wanted, but I understand why they didn't do it because the whole what it turned into was just a PR nightmare. But I'm kicking the tires on anybody that's going to help my team win outside of like an Antonio Brown.
I think there's only right now in the NFL, there's one spot and one spot only for Colin Kaepernick, and that's Seattle.
Seattle. I
And
agree.
he can compete with Drew Lock, and if he beats him out, great. But otherwise, every other team in the NFL right now has a better pound for pound quarterback, and I'm dead ass. I think that Davis Mills showed a lot at the end of the year last year. I would take him.
I think that's
over everybody.
that wouldn't be a
over
situation.
Kaepernick.
I also think Cap is still picky. Personally, I
He
think
can't be at this point.
I don't think Kaepernick wants to go to Texas and be their starting quarterback. I think that's just going to
Then
set
he can
him up.
sit his
They
ass at
can
home.
stay home.
It-
Right.
I agree, but that sets him up for failure. Kaepernick is still making a decent amount of money with everything else he has going on. He's like a social warrior for a lot of causes. So
Is he?
there's companies that are, whether your opinion on this
Super.
or not, Matt, it doesn't matter because there is people that are definitely
No, I
paying
agree.
Cap to be the
100%.
front man of
Hey,
their
he's got a
company.
Netflix special
So
out that's paying
He's in
him
a good
millions
situation
of dollars.
financially, and I'm not even fully on board with the fact that he even really wants to play. I think keeping his name relevant for as long as he's in the age bracket as to where the NFL is denying him, I think that is also a power play financially for Cap to just be able to keep saying, look, nobody's signing me, even though it's 8 years, 7 years after the fact now. Cap, you're eligible for the Hall of Fame at this point, right? You've been out of the league for that long.
Yeah.
That'll be the
Wait
day.
till that conversation
But-
starts.
That'll be the day.
But, neither here nor there on the Kaepernick situation.
Okay. Well, that's that.
I don't think he gets a look.
He will,
personally.
and I think he already has. That officially is his look.
Like I said, I don't think that anybody on either side is serious about any of it. I think Kaepernick stays exactly where he's at right now. You might see a workout pop up here and there, but it's largely for PR purposes. That's my opinion. That's not news break. That's not breaking news. Just
Okay.
an opinion.
Anyway, that'll do it. That'll be that's a hell of a show. We got a lot more to do today. Obviously, we're going to be recording another episode of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. The Chop Sports Fight Factory goes down where we can break down WrestleMania a little bit better. Also previewing UFC 273, in which I'll be watching that from Anchorage, Alaska. So that's cool. I board my flight 7:30 on Thursday night. So I'll be with you guys today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then I think Wrestling Rob's going to take my spot. I think that we've discussed that a little bit.
I'm going to talk to Kyle too. Hopefully that'll be like a nice little NBA. It'll be the last couple of days of the NBA. I think that weekend wraps things up, and then the playoffs start next week. That's also great, bro. NBA playoffs.
Oh,
is-
NBA playoffs are going to be good this year.
I love the NBA
East is
playoffs
wide open.
because it's tough to break down an NBA slate because not many people give a shit about the games that are taking place on the other side of the country, and not everybody gives a shit about the games that are taking place here, whereas like that's the ones that we're familiar with. We don't want to talk Knicks, Nets every day, Sixers, because that runs its course. But in the NBA playoffs, every game is a national
pivotal
game. So we get to talk about game 1, game 2, game 3 of all the series, and I love it.
It's going to be good.
NBA playoffs are one of my favorite things. Better
Just
than
trying to see where I want to throw my stock behind.
Ready?
This.
The NBA playoffs are better than the NCAA tournament to me. I don't even think it's close.
Hot take.
I don't think it's close.
What? Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Wow. All right.
NBA playoffs are great. You get to see the best.
I
players.
understand they're great, but
You get to
be
see the
better
best
than a
players in
tournament?
the
Like-
world elevate their game. Watching guys like John Morant elevate his game to another level. and
that's
things
who
like
I want
that.
to win the whole
I
damn thing.
love-
It does say a lot.
I want
when you
the
get to see
Memphis effing Grizzlies to
players
win
in like a 7-game series going back and forth.
Nothing
and
like
this
it, bro.
win gets good. Man, this team wins 2 games, and
And
they got to
people-
come back and win 2.
And
it's
people
great.
and like here, shout out to the people that are telling me I'm wrong. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to have a fucking opinion.
All I said was
It's
what?
like, no, exactly, but very wrong. Scoop.
Oh,
Have you ever been right in your life if that's the case? Because or anybody for that matter? Chill. NBA playoffs are better. Could you imagine if Duke and North Carolina got a 7-game series? Like,
would be interesting.
are you kidding? Like how, or any of them for that matter? At least down the stretch, that would be cool. You know, instead of the one and done.
There is an element to the whole one and done thing that makes it really, really exciting. Like you lose, you go home. Like there's no like, oh well, there's always game 2. You know what I mean? Like that's the element of college basketball that I think plays better than the NBA, because the NBA game 1 isn't make or break. The game 2 sometimes isn't make or break. You know what I'm saying? Like you have that series, which don't get me wrong, it's going to be great. I think the East is going to be nuts. We're all going to be rooting against the Nets, right? It's going to be fun times here at Chop Studios. So don't worry
But
about that.
also, everybody talks about how they want like the old school NBA back. That's the closest thing you could get is to the old school NBA. There's a lot of half court sets. Teams slow things down a little bit. Everybody plays defense. There's effort on both sides of the floor. And like I said, the best players in the world going at it. That to me is what you can't
maybe
discount that fact.
Maybe no LeBron this year, you know, so it's going to be wide open, baby.
Yeah. I mean, like, even if LeBron was in it, it's still pretty wide.
Bailey, just so you know, yes, I have a layover in Seattle. So, yes, I do have that twice, actually,
Also,
on the way back
Scoop, we'll talk. I got some of these shirts. I got a little
Stashed
supply,
away.
a little supply stashed away.
Oh, we're going to jail.
But I'm not sure what you're talking about my fantasy team blows. Bro, I looked at your team too. If you think basing it off of your team, my team is.
And if you go by the ESPN rankings or whatever
Yeah,
the fuck,
doesn't
that's
matter.
so dumb
It
too.
doesn't matter.
8% chance to
Watch
make
me
the playoffs.
massage the
Suck
back end
it.
of this roster all the way to the fucking title.
I don't know about all that. But anyway, big show tomorrow. We'll do all the MLB stuff. It's a big week. We got baseball starting on Thursday, opening day. So there's a lot to get into. The NFL draft, we're going to start mock season. We'll start actually drafting up what we want to do as far as that mock draft thing with the call-ins and, an actual mock draft show. We'll do that. We'll get that
Still got
started.
baseball bingo on the horizon.
Baseball bingo on the horizon, all that stuff. It's been a show. So for Sturch, and that's Gooch over there, and Dina for producing, and of course, Wrestling Rob with all the tidbits that you can ask for. This has been another episode of the Chop Sports Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow. It's baseball, baby.